Struggling with debt? Bills, loans, credit cards? Need a way out? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. Free, impartial advice on all your debt matters.
This is Coogan Cassius for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. I can't even explain where we are.
The first one back. We've taken you outdoors. It's a Monday night.
It is
somewhere
a Monday
in
night.
West London. You got the estates lurking in the background. It's all got a bit of an urban feel tonight. It's the first time I'm seeing Coogan live and in the flesh. It's not a Zoom call again.
We avoided the Zoom call
he
this
got his
time.
passport out. He came down to London, you know, the Essex to London passport. It's a very special one. Got the stamp, you know, and we are 2 meters apart at this time as well, I would add.
Correct,
You know, in
correct.
Germany you're allowed 1.5 meters. I would add to that as well.
We should have fucking done it there then.
Flying there tomorrow. So
Do you know what? It takes me the same amount of time to get from my house to here than it does to getting on a train to Manchester from Euston. That's the truth. It is. That's exactly the same time.
that's what I always say it to Eddie. I say, Eddie, you're Essex and we're London. You know, so that's one way I
This is
divide
like
things up.
a new world,
Yeah.
even though it's just London.
I do
right.
like Essex though. Good night out in Essex.
Absolutely.
Good night out.
Yeah, I'll echo those thoughts.
Fifth Avenue, that's still about, no, that's a long time ago now. Fifth Avenue,
Avenue?
Fifth Avenue in
Where's
Ilford.
that?
It was in Ilford.
Ilford.
Growing up, Fifth Avenue, that was a good crack on a Saturday night. Yeah.
Late 80s, early 90s.
Late 80s. Do me a favour, pal. No. Mid-90s.
Mid-90s.
Mid-90s,
Oh,
yeah.
late 80s.
94, 95.
Oh, I'm not a million
And it was
miles away,
Faces
am I?
after. I think it was called
Faces, the
I
Gant
think,
Seal.
I think it was. No, that's a different one. It was Country Club Essex,
Yeah.
Sunday night.
Epping.
Epping, yeah, that's
Yes,
it, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could see you in Epping actually.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
The London swagger.
let's start with talking about this weekend. There's
Yeah.
a lot of boxing on actually this weekend as well.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about your show.
Yeah.
Finally, because I think the last time I saw you,
It
we
was.
were
Well, no, you were saying, should I book the ticket
Yes.
for Riga?
yes, correct.
Yeah, and that is, that is, you know, in a way it feels like yesterday, in a way it feels like 5 years ago. It's a very odd feeling still, but it's on, you know. We're the first out the blocks with a transatlantic blockbuster, and that is, I mean, you know, often, you know, you have to discuss who was first, but I mean, we are the first to come out with, you know, the two, number one and the number two of the division from the opposite sides of the big pond, all sorts to get the final on. Obviously, we couldn't change, you know, dance partners. It was Breedis Dorsicos, the number one against the number two in the division, and you know, we had a lot of, you know, lot of moving targets, visas, corona tests, changes in the legislation. So I mean, the WBSS team, especially CEO Andreas Benzi, did a fantastic job in the organisational part of this, and you know, on the sporting side, we're just excited to see it. You know, it's going to be. I mean, they're both forward fighters, aren't they? You know, and 1 against 2. We've done it before this season with Inui Donaire. Feels like a while ago now, but watched that a few times in lockdown, and then of course Josh Taylor, Regis Progress. You know. And Josh is out this weekend as well. Good luck to him. You know, that's also a very important fight before his big one. You know, in December. So yeah, there's exciting stuff. Exciting stuff.
So talk to me about how it ended up where it's taken place.
How did it? Well, look. I mean, I've got to go back a bit. Yeah, we go back to Riga. Obviously, we got pulled. We were one of the last, probably the last big show to get pulled at that short notice. It was a week before. You know, I remember there was Olympic, was it tryouts or trials in London the weekend before, where a lot of people got also caught corona, just before the lockdown here in London, and we were a week later, and you know, there was all sorts. We were looking at, of course, doing it then behind closed doors before all the stuff with behind closed doors boxing kicked off, and in the end it was just too much. With our whole setup around the WBSS, the whole the rigging coming in, the circular lights and all that all that spectacular show that we were putting on in Riga with the sold out crowd. It was it was gutting. It was truly gutting, but it was at the end of the day. I think there's a lot of people a lot worse off than people in boxing at the moment. So you can only sort of try and make it relative to other issues. And we cracked on with it. We postponed it first. I think was it to May, and in May obviously we saw it still wasn't possible. So and then we went off and did our homework on where to put it. And we ended up in the Plaza Media Studios, which is if you don't know it, and you might not need to know it, but you'll know it from Saturday. It's one of the best film studios in Europe. So Germans renowned for their technology, but also the way that they've handled the Corona crisis so far was for us the most impressive of places to take it to. So and there was also a question of the legislation in Germany allowed us to bring in Dorticos without a quarantine. You had to show the correct corona tests, him and his team, before they flew, when they landed, been testing all week. It's a bit different to what you see in the UK. Like I was very impressed with the Matchroom fight camp bubble. Even the karaoke sessions look fun. But that looked like good fun. I was a bit envious of the partying going on there. That would look good, but it was a good joke inside. It was a good setup. Germany's a very different approach to it. It's much more almost separate bubbles for the teams, so they don't want you all together. So it's vigorous testing, of course, as well. But it's a a very different setup. So you could argue which one's better. I'm not a scientist, but main thing is there's a show on Saturday, so counting the days now till we're there. It feels like the longest fight ever to have to put on, because it really has been a journey over the last few months of ups and downs and waiting on things. We discussed this in lockdown, waiting on things that we can't control. So it's not like the fighter is injured or this, that and the other. No, it's something that we simply can't control.
So the news about this weekend came about last week that it has wound up on Sky Sports, which is brilliant. We were waiting to see what was going to happen with it. It is going to be on Sky Sports this Saturday, so that was a good coup for the UK fight fans.
Yeah, the other two finals were on there as well, so we knew it a little while ago, but it was an important announcement that they made last week with all, and they've got a great Ultimate Boxing on Sky Sports, and we're very happy to be part of that. So it was obviously important to have that platform in the UK, and listen, an event like that at the moment especially, comes out so, it should shine. You say should, boxing, anything can happen. We've seen, like again, the Taylor progress, the Inuit on air. We've seen the Usyk Breedis. We've seen, Groves Eubank. The sort of fights it throws up. The Gassiev versus Dorticos as well was an absolute cracker. If you haven't seen that, go and have a look at that. And I'm just hoping that the boxing gods are with us on Saturday, and we see a good, clean fight, and two gladiators coming out healthy on the other side with 36 minutes potentially of cracking action that we'll look forward to looking back to in years to come.
You must be pleased that you're going to get a bit of closure by the weekend on this, because it has, through no fault of your own, dragged out for so long.
Of course. It's and like I said before, it's very different to other fights that were planned before. Okay, so you could always chop and change, but you couldn't chop and change the final. If it was, Breedis Dorticos outside the tournaments, obviously it's still a great fight. The tournament adds that magic and storyline, but it was still a great fight. But you were going, Breedis would have probably fought by now against another European opponent. Dorticos would have probably fought by now in the States against another American opponent. You know, he's Cuban but American based. So you can, but this was a fixed dynamic which we couldn't change, which is great. We didn't want to change it, you know, because it's the fight 1 against 2, and that's what, you know, that's what you want to see in boxing. At the end of the day, you want to see them 1 against the 2. You know, that's what we set out to do. That's what we've been doing, and hopefully, you know, we'll see the magic again on Saturday.
Can you give us any inkling of what will happen after Saturday in regards to WBSS?
Season 3. Yeah, I mean, Coop, it's no secret we were planning the announcement before the final in March. You know, it was planned for a few weeks after that. We were pretty close on the weights. You know, I publicly said the 5-6 weights, which we would have whittled down to 2 or 3. Depending on what weights they were, you know, being vague on it.
Very vague.
Very
be
vague.
more specific.
No, but
Come on.
we know that we're not going to start this year, obviously. So it's, you know, it's a 3-month process from this time of announcement. You know, I mean, it takes 3 months to have the draw before the first fight, etc. So look for something that starts at the early part of next year. The weights. You know, and there we have had a few different things happening in lockdown that we've looked at. You know, obviously, you know, looked at for example, the Diddy and Whyte Povetkin fight sort of opened up a little bit for me the prospect of potentially looking at those heavyweights again. You know, it looks like they've got the business done with Fury and Wilder for next year. So it's, you know, can they get those 2 fights in a year? I don't know. We'll see. It will definitely be 12 months between the fights, or 10 to 12 months between the fights, I would imagine. Big fights, you know, you want to promote those properly. And I just feel that maybe that's the right timing to go out with a heavyweight WBSS with an amazing list of fighters behind those 2, you know. So that's definitely on the list. You look at the middleweights for me have certainly become spicy. You look at the flies, the super flies, which I said before lockdown as well. Still love that. I don't even think you necessarily need to go one or the other. You go for both and make a catch weight solution. The light heavies is a little bit more complicated to make. You know, but it is one that we've certainly got on the list as well. So I think, you know, we're further than we should almost be at this point, because right now it's all about Saturday. But you know, we've been very, very busy on that front, and it's something that, you know, we've thrown a few curveballs before. You know, I talked about the female weights, you know, and like before I was looking at the females, I was always thinking welter. Around the welter, you make a catch weight. Now you look at the super feathers, you know, around there. It's got two potentially interesting female weight classes. Amazing that you can even say that these days. There's 2, you know, where the depth is. It's not just about one lady fighter. It's about the depth of talent, you know. So that makes my job a lot easier, because what I do is I put those options together. That gets presented to the board, and then they say that's the one we're going to go for. So very far on that.
Okay, but I mean, before any of this, obviously, it is all about Saturday. So.
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, Saturday's done and signed and sealed since a long time. It was about the date. Yeah, so it's not. It is for the spectator, but for me, no.
Of course not.
The cogs are moving for season 3 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, we won't hear anything before Saturday. So
no, and it will still be a while after Saturday, because before you announce in boxing, you need to sign things up. I'm not saying you need to sign all 8 in the weight class. Yeah, you can announce and then, you know, come with the announcements afterwards as well. But you need to have 2 or 3 secured. You know. But those were done before lockdown, so, you know, it shouldn't take as long as it can take. You know, I think also our setup as a tournament gives us certain advantages should there be issues with bringing crowds back next year. You know, I mean, I think we'll see some crowds back this year, but you know, numbers, you know, and you know, it's very, very dangerous to banter around numbers are soaring and things. You want to analyse those numbers a bit, and you know, that's not my job. You know, but what does certainly seems to be some sort of a rise again. People have this opinion and that opinion. We're not here to talk about corona testing and things like that, but ultimately the only thing that interests me when it comes to the business of it is, do we have crowds back or not? You know, and that's not our decision to make. You know, so we'll have to look at that. But from that point of view, we're set up very well as a tournament to adapt to that next year. So that's something else that we've been working on. So that should there be another lockdown scenario, whatever it is, or not the ability to bring back big crowds straight away, we have a model where we can perform that in a way. Although Saturday's obviously a huge event, it's also a little bit for us to look at how our setup works on Saturday behind closed doors.
Look forward to it, so make sure you tune in this Saturday. Time start?
We've always got our 10 o'clock UK walk time, you know, so good little, it's a small undercard. We're restricted locally of what we can do. See some great future German talents on there. You've got Sophie Alish, this Wunderkind, this 18-year-old female fighter. She really is something sensational. You've got Leon Bunn, also I think number 5 in the IBF light heavy. Very, very good talent fighting on the card. You've got Dennis Radovan in a IBF Europe fight. He's also, I think, top 10 IBF at middleweight. So, you know, it's going to be a nice evening of boxing. But of course, the big one, Breeders' Dorticos. Yeah.
We'll look forward to it. As we like to always do with you, is talk about
everything.
Subjects that have happened. We'll go back to kind of that, what you were talking about with Povetkin and Dillian Whyte.
I've got my defensive position on. You've seen that, viewers? When Coogan talks like this, I always cross my arms. I always think, like,
brace yourself.
What the F is coming next?
Were you shocked about...
Hey, it was only 5 floors up. I jump. Was I shocked? Well, who's coming? What was I shocked?
I don't know what's going on here. You're gassed on Gareth Bale in a minute, but
I'm still buzzing.
Were you shocked by Povetkin's win over Dillian Whyte?
I thought you were going to say, were you shocked that Gareth Bale resigned?
Everyone's shocked about that, mate. Don't worry about that.
No. Gareth Bale shocked himself. But was I shocked? No, I wasn't shocked. And I mean, Dillian has been rolling the dice for a while now, you know, and credit to him. You know, what a fighter to go in as a mandatory to go in and roll the dice for me 3 times in a row. Right, I'm going to leave the Del Boy fight out for the moment because that was one of 2. I thought Del Boy nicked the first one, so I thought the rematch was, you know, was obviously clear for Dillian in the rematch, but that was a little bit different. Let's just take the Rivas, the Park and the Povetkin fight. They are 50-50 fights at heavyweight. You know, there's no give me, he was the slight favourite and all that. Obviously at that level, you know, at that level, those were 50-50s. Now, not a gambling man, but if I toss a coin 3 times, it's very, very unlikely I'm going to call it right through all 3 times. And, you know, shit happens, you know, from Dillian's point of view. You know, it's a bit fair play to him. Straight on with a rematch. You know, you're going to have a lot of people saying, yeah, but what, the rematch, what straight away you should have a tune-up, you know, yeah, right, okay, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, so just that, you know, have a tune-up on some undercard, you know, or box on pay-per-view in the rematch and clear your name, so to speak, straight away. Yeah, let me have a long, hard think about that. Yeah, right, okay. No, leave the arguments. I mean, you know, he's earned the rematch on the fact that he's gone into a 50-50 in a fight where he should have been boxing a tune-up and not a 50-50. You know, that's the whole ironic thing about it. He should never have been in the ring with those people. He should have been sitting indoors, you know, watching boxing, having an occasional tune-up here and there, waiting for his shot. That is the rule of boxing. He was lucky enough, and then I can see the knives coming out now. Yeah, well, it's Hearn, and you know he's got Joshua, so he couldn't get the fight. Yep, on paper you'd say, why didn't Eddie throw the book at the situation, get lawyers on it, and plead the case? Okay, but on the other hand, Dillian has been turned into in that time into a pay-per-view player, not a co-feature. He's headlining pay-per-view events on a regular basis, so it's a bizarre situation. You know, I get him for doing it. You know, the oldest rule in the book, I was, you know, taught years and years ago, but Mickey Duff. You know, it was the first time I ever heard it. You know, I'm going back like when I was a kid, like it was a Sunday lunch sort of educational with Mickey Duff. He was a big promoter in the 80s for you younger viewers, and the 70s, and you know, but that's the rule. It's the golden rule. But given the circumstances, you know, AJ, oh, it's the choppers coming in. It's the choppers coming in. We might have to just jump inside for a second here.
It's landing here.
It's just coming over us now. Don't worry, got it covered, Cook. It's Uncle Pablo landing. So anyway, so he is fought. I think they were all. Parker was a pay-per-view.
All pay-per-views.
Was all pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So my argument is taken away. I get, you know, and you know he believes in himself. That's credit to him. And by the way, we've seen some great fights out of it. So. You know, yeah, it went wrong. You know, now he's got the chance to put it right. Was I surprised going back to that? No. Povetkin was the first professional boxer I signed, 2005, and came fresh out the Olympics. Man, his CV, yeah, his CV is
one of the best in boxing, heavyweight boxing. It is.
I can't think of an active fighter. I'm talking even like Lomachenko, people like this. I don't think they've got his credentials. I know Lomachenko's got that outstanding number of fights. Povetkin, as a kid, was winning European World Championships in kickboxing. Then he went on to be pro, and he amateur boxer, obviously Olympic champion, world champion, European champion. I mean, you know, there's nothing that he hasn't done. So, you know, was I surprised? No, I wasn't. You know, does he rely on something that fades with age? Now people say, oh, he relies on speed. He doesn't. He relies on a movement, and that movement he's had since he's 12 years old. Yeah, it's you know, it's that slip and that and I don't want to make it sound like it could happen. It certainly could happen again, because he knows how to. He has that perfected, and you can train not for 8 weeks. You can train for 8 years waiting for that shot, and he can still pull it on you. It's a split second. You know, you've got to think 36 minutes, and that move, that shot. You know, people forget. Go back, look at the first round against Joshua. Yeah, that first round was, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly gave Joshua moments in that fight.
Yeah.
What happens in the rematch? Are you convinced that he can put it right?
It's a 50-50. It could be a complete deja vu. Dillian also could finish what he started in the round before, and then was it the fourth? Yeah.
Fourth.
Yeah. For me, by the way, Povetkin wasn't as hurt as people thought in that round. Povetkin goes down. He's done it his whole career. Look at the Klitschko. Look at the. I've seen it in training. I've seen it. So he's one of them fighters. Goes down. Was he hurt? The way I saw it, of course he was hurt. You know, he was on the floor. You know, of course he was hurt. But was he finished? No. He certainly weren't finished. You know, I think Klitschko had him down 4 or 5 times, and he was fighting till the last round. So he is an absolute warrior. Yeah. So's Dillian. So I'll happily, if I or we're not able to watch it live, I'm happy to give my 20 quid for it. You know, no, that's a good for this. It's two proper heavyweights, you know, and top level. So yeah, it's a great fight. And do I think it can happen again? Absolutely. It's not about lightning striking twice either. It wasn't luck. You know, that's what people are saying. It wasn't some lucky punch. Yeah? If that was a lucky punch, well, he's he's been certainly having a lot of luck in his whole career since the last 25 odd years that he's been in. You know, been more, how old is he now? 4 years. 28 years, whatever it is, he's been fighting. Yeah. So it's not luck. Yeah, it happens. It's heavyweight boxing. That's why it's a division where you have that expert. Don't blink, you might miss it. Well, actually, and I was watching it. I was watching on my iPad. I was actually in bed, and I was watching on the iPad. And actually, I did blink. And I was writing some of the. It was a friend of mine. I was talking about the fight, and in that second, he's going to be Povetkin's gone, and I'm writing back to him. No, he ain't. And in that second, I just saw a commotion on the sort of the corner of my eye, and I thought it was Povetkin who was down, and then I looked at it and thought, great strike. It was on the sweet spot, you know. But can it happen again? Absolutely. Can Dillian do it? Absolutely. So it's going to be a really interesting fight. The part will play a big part there as well. You know, like I said, Dillian definitely needs to take it now, but it is very short after that. But there's only one way, and that's through the fire. Yeah.
How much are people? Sorry, I'll rephrase that question. Are people underestimating Kubrat Pulev going into the Joshua fight? In your opinion?
No. So I mean, we released Pulev 2 years ago, and at the time I didn't think he would actually do this fight, or we get up to this fight. But for me, it's the perfect fight for AJ. Let's put it that way. You know, it's a nice sort of, and I don't want to make it sound horrible, but it's a nice tune-up for him. You know, he won't overlook it. You know, Rob is one of the best trainers on the planet, and AJ showed us now he's a real professional. Won't overlook it, and that's the problem. It would be a dangerous fight if he was already thinking next year. He's not overlooking this 1 second, you know. But it's not Pulev from a couple of years ago. Pulev, for me, after the Klitschko fight, he changed as a fighter. He lost a lot in the ring that night. I mean, that was one of Klitschko's finest hours, because Pulev was a very good fighter. Still, it is a very good fighter. I just think it's wrong part of the career for him.
And then the other piece to the heavyweight jigsaw for this year is the Fury Wilder fight, which potentially could take place on December 19th.
Yeah. I think they're talking about Vegas. I saw the stadium in Vegas, talking about all different venues, and it's, look, at the end of the day, in February, what was February? Was it late February? Wasn't it? You know, it was game over. Wilder will talk up his chances now again. For me, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Tyson Fury is a boxing genius. So he comes from a line of fighting families, fighting ancestry. He knows the game in and out, and you saw the change that he made. Now, of course, credit to the trainers, also Ben Davison and Sugar Hill. They've both done great jobs with him, but I'm not taking anything away from them. But Tyson, he knows this sport in and out. He had it like his old man said, he had it in the sack, right? He came out, he was produced by fighting sperm, right? So this guy is up here a boxing genius, and you see the tactical change. It wasn't a big change. It was a relatively simple change. Put him on the back foot. Yeah. I mean, you know, and I hate to say it again, Cougar. I think I've said it before on the show. I called it. I called the round. I called the shot. I called the knockdown. So I knew it before. I knew he would have that game plan for him. I still think Wilder, incredible puncher. The reason that I thought that Tyson could do that was the fight before, Ortiz in the fight before, and he was just waiting. He was waiting for that one punch, you know, and he looked terrible, and then boom. And I'm just thinking, you know, that's not enough. Not at that level. Not where Tyson was going to take him to. And, you know, he proved me right. I don't see that changing, because I don't think that Tyson will change much, because he does the one thing that takes away Deontay's biggest asset, and I mean, it's a huge asset. Let's get it right. I mean, you know, he could knock him out in you know, with one punch, one of those punches, but he doesn't let him fire, and I just think that he's got his number. You know, I do like Deontay Wilder, and
why has he gone quiet? Do you think he's gone quiet since?
I think I would hope, as a fan of hoping to see a good fight, I hope he's quiet, because he was talking a load of nonsense after the fight. I mean, things that I think everyone was, you know, and I don't know whether he did it almost to get as a bit of hype. I mean, it was so mad, some of the things. I saw some of the videos, they just look great, and he's actually, when you meet him, he's actually a nice fella, you know. But it was some odd excuses coming out. There was, you know, a lot of finger pointing with the corner and all this here, and that wasn't good to see. You know, it wasn't good to see. I mean, the whole excuse about the outfit, I mean, do me a favour. I mean, come on, pull the other leg.
One of his sparring partners, Junior Farr, come out recently in an article with Sky Sports and said that his bicep was injured.
Yeah,
prior to that fight.
Yeah.
I don't think he's come out recently
No,
and said
no,
that.
exactly.
But
But that sounds like something. Yeah, but that's something. You know, I've done it before as well. So you know, I'm telling you, you won't teach me a new trick on Amazons. I tell you, that's brilliant. It's a brilliant. So 5 months later, the spine. Oh, I just remember 6 months ago, you had a bicep injury. Well, where the fuck you been where you been all my life? You know, I mean, do me, come on. I mean, no, seriously, I just remembered it now, brother. yeah, you know, you can wind me up, you know. No, there's some shit talked in it. That's too much lockdown, man. Maybe it's the wearing the mask too much, lack of oxygen to the brain. I don't know where that came from, but that is that even beats actually. So I've got to give a state praise for a minute. That beats for me. Even the outfit, you know, the excuse. What was it? 100 kilos. The drag into the ring. You know, it's like. I mean, the shit they come out with sometimes it's hysterical. But ultimately, you know, you can talk it up. But I think that Deontay, though, it has gone quiet, and that is a positive sign for him. I do think that he's focusing on the fight, which he should do, because he got outclassed. So he's got to do a lot of changes and a lot of thinking. You know, you can't change that much as a fighter. You've got to think how I can adapt my assets, and you're not going to suddenly gain, you know, overnight amazing left hook to the body. You know, his assets are what his assets are, and he's got to, you know, use those assets, and that's where Tyson Fury, for me, that's why he's currently the best heavyweight, is because he takes the assets. And by the way, his assets might not be as good as others in certain parts of, you know, certain components of those assets, but what he does is he knows. He might stand there and say, I'm the best at doing everything, but he knows where he's strong, he knows where he's weak, and he plays to his strengths, and he does that. he does that better than anyone else.
Well, we're back into September now, so there's still a lot of twists and turns. Everything's not going to go how we assume it to go.
Yeah.
I don't even know what people assume these kind of 3 fights that we're talking about for the rest of the year in the heavyweight division to go.
Yeah.
You know, it's like...
But because that is why, when I was saying about the WBSS Season 3, that's why the heavyweights suddenly do become quite interesting. Yeah? Because the twists and turns, let's say them 2 fights are made, 2-fight deal. Imagine the twists and turns between the first fight, whatever happens in the first fight, the twists and turns between, and there's a lot of playmakers outside the ring involved there as well, So we aren't exactly sweet with each other. So just, it's going to be terrific. So, it's, so that's why, and you look at the other heavyweights in division, look at the ones coming through now. We talked about Dillian and obviously Povetkin. But look at the ones coming through. Hrgovic, we talked a lot about him. He's got a fight this weekend, and he's fighting back in November as well. You look at Joyce,
Dubois,
and Dubois. The Joyce Dubois. Is that supposed to be happening now? October 20 something, isn't it?
It's in October, but with the situation, you just don't know what kind of if it's
but
reliant on a crowd or not.
I'm not in my business, but it's clear that fight needs a crowd somehow to be made. But I then asked myself, what's the difference then between like Whyte Povetkin? They've said that's going ahead. It's hopefully with a crowd, but if not, it's still going ahead. That was what was said. So I can't work out. Is it because Whyte is happy then to take less money, which would be a big credit to Whyte. And Povetkin, I'm assuming, is probably on a fix because it's a rematch, so you get a fixed purse. But once again, I'm assuming. But then why can't Joyce Dubois then take place? But I understand, I've seen Frank talk about it, and I totally agree with Frank. It'd be ideal with a crowd, but that fight also everyone. Well, maybe I'm just being a fan on this and saying I would love to see it. I want to see it.
It deserves a crowd.
But the question is,
yeah.
what are they? What they're waiting for? So I get the money that comes in from the crowds. I'm roughly guessing what that gate would be. Let that be. Where's it supposed to be? What arena?
It was originally at the O2.
Okay, $1.5 million, right? It's a lot of money, but it's still a good pay-per-view fight. No one would argue that it's not a pay-per-view fight. So yeah, you're going to have to share the ticket. Or the cost 3 ways, or however you do it with the promoter. But still a fight. I think that would be a shame if that don't get made this year, because I think Dubois come on. I think Joyce needs to find out. We need to all find out where Joe really is, and that's a great fight. So I'm hoping as a fan that gets made this year. And there's other good heavyweights coming through as well. I think that Effie Jagba and he's had a few wobbles, but looks a bit of a beast as well. So there's some interesting. Bacoli is interesting as well. There's some good. And I'm missing out. I'm missing out.
Alan Babbage.
Yeah, Babbage. Character.
Vigorously calling out.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a wind up, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know what to say.
I don't think it is from Babbage's point of view.
But it's...
So the realistic chance of it happening anytime soon is probably slim, but I don't think Babbage is on the wind up with it.
Really?
No, I don't think so.
Or maybe if he fights a couple of people, somewhere gets himself a world ranking, then can look at it, Look, at the end of the day, Philip's out this weekend. He's going to tune up. He hasn't had a fight at all, so put him on in Denmark. Should in boxing, you never know. Should be just a run out, but then of course it gets. He's back. I think end of October in the States. And then bring on the Babbage fight. No, on a serious note, we trying to push through. He's breaking the top 5 now. So, but there are a lot of and good luck to Babbage, by the way. I wish him. He doesn't have to focus just on Hrgovic. So there are other fighters maybe on the way up there. you know, and then good luck to him. I mean, let him fight, you know, fight Dave Allen, you know. Good fight. You know.
They want to fight. Tom Little's been linked.
Tom Little, Tom Little, you know. But they have those sort of fights first. But I mean, I don't think I could spell anyone he's beaten so far. So, you know, I mean, you know, you know, didn't he say he was a bouncer in Hvar? You know, in the Croatian island. I mean, it's good that he's boxing, but you know, there is sort of steps. You know, and he seems like a good fella. So, you know, go out and do your thing. You know, but you know, you don't sort of step up and say, you know, I've kicked a ball a few times and now I want to play Premier League. You know, you sort of have to qualify a little bit. You know, but it's good. Isn't it? At the end of the day, it's banter. You know, it gets his name mentioned and it's good. You know, that's cool.
Okay, well, Kalle, I appreciate your time. It's been rather entertaining and insightful as always. Good luck. Hope everything goes well this weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm sure everyone will be tuning in.
I'm looking forward to some proper boxing, and yeah, it's good to be back.
Yeah. You look like you're ready to go and have a...
No, I'm just thinking about this whole thing again.
Right.
But I'll leave you on that one. On that note.
Kalle Sauerland, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV, and yeah, we'll grab a word of you hopefully after Saturday night.
We will.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Struggling with debt? Bills, loans, credit cards? Need a way out? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. Free, impartial advice on all your debt matters.